A prime example of what inhumane treatment does look like is a case Donald Trump is quite familiar with, involving the now exonerated Central Park Five, who were wrongfully convicted of the rape of a white jogger more than 30 years ago. You will remember Trump took out a full-page ad in 4 major New York City newspapers calling for the state to adopt the death penalty and use it on the teens, something he has never apologized for.
Mr. President, will you apologize to the Central Park Five? They've been exonerated.
You have people on both sides of that. They admitted their guilt. If you look at Linda Fairstein and if you look at some of the prosecutors, they think that the city should never have settled that case.
And this is an extremely important moment, not just because we have one of the Central Park Five criticizing and also using what Donald Trump did to ruin his life as a bully point for his campaign, but also because it shows us how important justice for Black and brown people is and should be.
So here we are now. It's where we were today, in a city that was so great just 4 or 5 years ago. But now we're there, spent time there today, as you possibly read, with a local failed district attorney charging a former president of the United States for the first time in history on a basis that every single pundit and legal analyst said, there is no case. There's no case. They kept saying, there's no case.
Messengers can sometimes play with issues that are extremely important and have the wrong message. So we just saw the beginning of something that is extremely important. That something is a conversation about how we see the justice systems. So when we see this brother, Salaam, talking about he's moving to the point, or can he move to the point where he corrects the criminal injustice system, as he called it, and start back calling it the criminal justice system, this is a misnomer. This system has never been criminal justice for Black and brown people. And just because someone is a victim of the system, we cannot allow their success after the system or their happiness with someone else being convicted, i.e. Donald Trump, who has not been convicted, just charged, as right to say that the system has been corrected.
You took the thing that had to have been one of the most painful things in your life. We're going to put it on screen, but this is it. I'm holding it in my hand. This is your ad that you have created. There it is on screen, that mimics the ad he created that called for your death.
Oh, yeah.
And you've turned it into a campaign ad for your campaign. Why?
Absolutely. You know, people need hope. They don't necessarily need to just look at my story and say, wow, great move. No, they need to understand we absolutely can resuscitate our lives.
Too many Black and brown people, especially Black men, suffering at the hands of America's so-called justice system. We are not at a point, nowhere near a point, where we should be joking about if we've moved in any direction closer to justice for people that look like me, that look like that brother, that are constantly going through what he went through. It is not a time to say just because Trump has been charged and the DA that charged him is Black, that we are seeing justice in this country.
When you look at the Harlems of the world and you walk around and you see what? You see hopelessness. You see sleeping giants. You see people who have said, you know what, I don't even want to participate. But they don't realize yet that non-participation is participation. I heard Eric Thomas say, you have to recycle the pain. You know, you're going to go through things in life. Might as well get something out of it. Here I get the opportunity to take all of the things that I've lived through, and rather just going through it, I grow through it. And I think that I, with the light that I have been given, can shine the way forward. That's why I'm running for city council.
Yeah.
It's no longer enough for us to march in the streets for justice.
Yeah.
We now have to have someone who is advocating for us in the halls of power that can ensure that their voices are carried and echoed and echoed and echoed.
Furthermore, the brother has some strong points about what it means to be Black and also be subjected to the hands of America's criminal justice system. Those points will not be argued by me or anyone who cares about honesty. His problem, though, beyond what I've already mentioned, is the fact that he said we have to move past protests. I am not okay with people running for office and elected officials or those in power or a certain proximity to power to play with the idea that protest is not important for Black people. There is no success in the 2020 movement, electoral politics. There are no success for people who see the world like us, but for the motivation that came from the protests, mostly from millennials and also Zers. Telling people that protest does not matter is disregarding a lot of history, American history, that is extremely important. So as much as I care about this person's thoughts, I also take serious problems with the idea that we need to move past protesting. This is a flawed way of thinking. Just because you're running for office does not mean people protesting activists don't have a role in moving this country forward. Just because you are satisfied with justice or naming justice, or feel like you're satisfied and naming justice because Donald Trump has been tried, not even tried, just charged, there's too many of us suffering daily, some of us dying because of this justice system. Let's not pretend that America's there. I'm Mondale Robinson. Have a wonderful evening. Not before you think about it. Peace.